Hi guys, so I recently got into the game Pillage. Well, I say recently, it's only about a week ago. I haven't played a game yet. Obviously, I'm painting up the miniatures, making the board, all the bits and pieces. So you might have seen my recent video where I painted up 46 of these lovely Vikings, and here they all are. Really pleased how these come out. So obviously, I'm an average kind of painter. Obviously, made better by the use of things like speed paints. There's a video. I'll leave it up a link somewhere on the screen or down below where you can go and see me painting these. But obviously something I can't do, and that's the shields. I did have a go once and made a right old mess. So that's where we activate cheat mode and we use the little Big Men Studios shield transfers. That's exactly what I've done here. And as you can see, I've done them on a 28mm scale miniature as well as a 15mm scale miniature. So I'm going to show you how to apply these. They're reasonably easy. A couple of things to take into consideration. And if you did see my video recently, you'll see I made two schoolboy errors and yeah, made a couple of mistakes, which is why I thought, well, I'll do a video and show just how easy it is to do these if if you've got your head on. So the great thing with these little Big Men Studios, you can get these from Victrix. I'll leave links down below. As I would say, there's awesome looking shield transfers. They do come with obviously instructions how to use it. I say very easy, but different to your normal transfers, as these are printed out on, well, they're printed out with a printer basically. So yeah, so a couple of things we need to sort of do differently with these transfers as opposed to transfers you leave in water and then they just sort of peel off and well, all the rest of it. So one of the first things we need to do is obviously choose which shields we're going to use. And I only need a couple of tools for this. So I've got a nice sharp pair of scissors. I've kind of brought these especially for this, just because obviously you want some sharp scissors. I've gone for some smaller ones, just makes it easier to cut around the edge. But you also need to cut out that center circle. So rather than using a scalpel and making a right old bodge job, yeah, I've got this little hole cutter. It's roughly the right size. I do have to sort of cut a couple of times just to get the circle sort of fully out. So I'm going to be doing these long shields. I don't know what these shields are called, guys. Say I've only just got into sort of medieval wargaming, so I'm not really up on well all the terminology. And I know obviously shields, well they're shields, but I'm sure they're going to have different names: long shields, round shields, short shields. Yeah, guys, let me know because I have no idea. So with these, yeah, it is a case of cutting around each shield, say individually, and that's where having a good pair of sharp scissors comes in handy because you want some nice, clean cut edges. So one thing you want to make sure when you do this, which I didn't when I did my very first one, and that is cut close to the edge, but don't cut within the shield because obviously then you're going to reduce the size of the transfer and yeah, it'll look a bit messy. So again, guys, yeah, check out my latest video where I did all the Vikings. I did them in one hit. Very pleased with how they come out, but managed to do all of them in under 3 hours, which I think is just awesome. That being said, there's another video coming out fairly soon where I paint the Saxons, and I was challenged to paint 42 of them in under under 2 hours. Yeah, I think I did a good job. Let me see. Watch the video when it comes out, and you can tell me. So I did a little dry fit there just to make sure everything was okay. So these have a protective film on them. It comes off really easy. So I know there's some things you try and get protective film off, and it's a nightmare. Yeah, it comes off so easy on these, even with my little fingers here. And then it's obviously when you peel it off, it's the sticky side. So it feels weird because you're actually sort of putting a transfer obviously down, the bit you can see you're putting down onto the shield. But say that these have been printed on an inkjet printer, so it is a case of putting them down, putting them in place, like they are sort of obviously sticky backed. And then what we need to do to get obviously this backing off is just apply some water. So yeah, any water. I've got for well tap water, obviously. Get your brush, and then it is just a case of wetting the back. I don't think you can over wet these. I've tried. I put tons of water on them. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. It is just the backing that sort of peels off and leaves the transfer in place, which is just awesome. So all you've got to do is leave it 20 to 30 seconds, not long at all, and then you can come back in and slide it off. I find it easier to do this with a scalpel. You can try and do it with your finger, but say the scalpel just catches hold of it and slides it off. And there we go. One transfer done, so there's no way I could have painted that at all. Absolutely love how it come out. There's so many different transfers. Um, but I've also done their research because the Little Big Men Studios, they have transfers for sort of each warband, which is really cool. So this is the bit that I made a mistake with in my first video. The shields are different sizes. I never noticed this when I made up my Vikings. I just thought the shields were, well, just round shields. But as you can clearly see, from the biggest to the smallest, there's a lot of difference. There's about 4 different sizes. So from each one to the next one, it's a very little amount. And I think this is where I didn't notice it. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So again, watch the video, and you'll see me. Any mistakes I make, guys, I leave in videos just because I think it helps other people, and it helps me as well. Because sometimes I do refer back to my old videos. So the 2 ones I've got here, both different sizes. Again, not by much, but it's enough that if you put the wrong transfer on, yeah, it's not really going to fit properly. And I say in my last video, it's the first time ever using these. So say this is where it is a schoolboy error. Yeah, it was totally user error rather than the actual transfers. Transfers themselves, say, really easy to use, come off really, really well. Yeah, you just need to have a bit of common sense and use the right size. But there you go. So this is the most important bit, though, cutting it out without cutting into the transfer. Again, if you watch my video, you'll see the very first transfer I did. I cut within the lines because obviously I didn't want any white areas showing, but I actually cut too far in. So even though I had the right size round transfer for the shield, it was still small because I'd cut inside the line and actually cut away some of the transfer. But again, this is where we live and learn. And sometimes making mistakes is good because then you won't do it again. But that's why I thought, say, I would do a little video showing how to apply them, even though say they are nice and easy. Just need to take a little bit of time with them. So there we go. There's 2 done. So again, when I do these, I will do like the whole lot in one go. You just sort of push them on because obviously they're sticky on that back side there, and then wet them, leave them 20-30 seconds, and off they pop. And I say, I just love the fact there's so many different variations in these shields. Obviously, have a go at painting shields yourselves. I did the first time, but say it looked pants, and I didn't even do anything fancy. It was just I painted a shield in quarters, I think it was. But yeah, my lines, yeah, pants. Whereas these, they're great. See, the shields do have like battle damage look to them, which I think is obviously pretty cool because it adds more realism. And the fact that there's so many different sort of patterns and designs, obviously Pokeball one there. Yeah, you've got to catch them all. And there we go. So that's them done. But what I normally do as well, just to make them look a little bit more sort of weathered, is I go over the whole thing with a wash. The other reason for this is obviously I paint the metal or the edge of the shield in sort of like a metallic silver, but obviously it looks too shiny. And we don't want that because these guys have been in wars and fighting through mud and all the rest of it. So yeah, I like to sort of dirty down everything. Yeah, apologies, my brush is looking a bit of a state there. I do need to get some new brushes. Yeah, these have been through the wars. So yeah, a little bit of a wash there. I think I'm using the bottle is Agrax Earthshade, but it is made up of a combination of different sort of washes. Because basically, any washes I've got where I had a little bit left, I just poured them all into the one bottle. So we leave it to dry, and yeah, the results are also say I love things that are simple, easy, but look so good. And these shield transfers, yeah, they definitely are that. So then moving on, so they're the 28mm normal sort of size. But in one of my recent videos, I'm looking at making a board up for, well, these 15mm. These are diddy, guys, I must admit. I know it was obviously about half the size, but they don't feel so diddy. So with these, to make it easier on myself, I am doing the shields separately, as I think, well, that'll just make things a whole lot easier for myself. So these little chaps, obviously didn't buy these. I 3D printed them. I will leave links down below to where you can get hold of these miniatures. And I printed them out on the Halo X1. So this is the first time printing out something so small. And to be honest, I wasn't too sure how they would come out because, as you can see, say half the size, but obviously they have titchy little swords. And I know even with 28mm figures, when you print out miniatures, there's always the fear of swords snapping. Obviously, I do normally use ABS resin. So that helps because obviously it gives a bit more flex to everything. The other good thing about 15mm size, I could get an absolute ton of these on in one sort of print. And because they're not very high, it really doesn't take too long at all. So yeah, so the Halo X1, first time trying this out. Pleasantly surprised. I have to admit, I've had no issues whatsoever with this printer, printing out large things, small things, and well, everything in between. I will leave links down below, guys, if you want to get hold of these Halo X1s. Yeah, definitely recommend this. So these little dudes came off really easy off the build plate because obviously if you've seen the videos, it's little twisty things on the build plate, and then these things just pop off. So you don't even have to scrape them off. As you can see, everything's come out perfectly. And I say even the little swords and the spears. Yeah, I really didn't think it was going to work, to be honest, because I say the size of these is absolutely minute. So these need to be cleaned. If I put them in my normal cleaning vat, they will just fall through to the bottom and then probably get broken down. So yeah, I'm putting them in this little bag. Got this off Amazon. I can't remember what I typed in. It was just a mesh bag. But obviously, by putting them in this, keeps them all nice and safe, and I know they won't then fall through the gaps in my little wash machine. And yeah, they'll keep them safe. So now getting on to the fun bit of putting the transfers on. To say I didn't put the shields on them just to make it easier for myself because everything is so diddy. Obviously, even the little shields. So same sort of process as before. But you can see some of the shields, they have square holes rather than the round holes. Not too sure why. So rather than using my hole punch, this is a case of getting a sharp blade. So I actually put a new blade in this one. Then yeah, just cutting the center out. Easy enough to do. Well, I say that it's easy enough to do, except if you've got a camera in front of you filming yourself, and you're trying to like peer over the side or over the top or around the side. So yeah, it'd be a lot easier doing this with the camera sort of in my face. But yeah, these bits obviously cut out nice and easy. Say nice sharp scalpel does that a trick. And then the same sort of thing, well, same process as before, really, cutting these out. Again, you definitely need some sharp, good scissors for this because these are so small. You want to cut nice and neat rather than sort of like ripping the things. Yeah, so I'm going to do obviously all these shields. So there's 5 of them. I'm going to do them all together, and then obviously sort of wet them all at once. But yeah, absolutely love these guys. Yeah, guys, let me know if you do like this sort of content because I know this is a little bit different from what I sort of normally do. I am definitely getting more into medieval gaming. Absolutely love the look and feel of Pillage, as well as the Barons War. And obviously, the board game I'm making up can be used for both, which is pretty cool. And all the armies, war bands, everything else, yeah, they're all going to have these shields from Little Big Men Studios. Just because I say, there's no way I could paint these kind of things, and even more so on shields this size. Yeah, let me know, guys. Do you play in 28mm or do you play smaller? Say the miniatures I've gone for is 15mm, but I know obviously a lot of people do play at 10mm scale as well. I'm not sure if you can get the transfers for 10mm because that is just minute. But say yeah, 15mm you can get the LBMS shield transfers for, because obviously that's what I'm using here. Again, a little bit trickier to get in place. Again, especially for kind of in my way. But yeah, using the scalpel there, it's easy enough to maneuver them around. And again, the protective bit comes off these just so easy as well, because otherwise that would be a nightmare if you couldn't get them off. But yeah, so it's exactly the same process as the larger ones. Out the center bit, cut round the edge nice and neat, and then position them in. I say it's a little trickier with the small ones because they are a little bit fiddlier, but yeah, not too bad at all. And then exactly the same process. So we wet them down. Although it's really weird because obviously I don't know if it's because they're smaller, but when I wet these, they almost sort of started coming off when I was wetting them. Again, don't know if that's because they're smaller. Don't see how that would work. But yeah, I mean, obviously leave them say 15, 20 seconds, and then these things just slide off. But again, using a scalpel because that does make it a whole lot easier just to sort of slide them off. And the results, yeah, love it. Miniature shields, but with some nice decorations on, which is just awesome. So yes, all the shields you can get from Little Big Men Studios. They can get the Saxons, Vikings, Normans. They all have their own separate sort of looking shields, which is great. And you can get them in both sizes, which is just awesome because whether you're playing at 28mm or 15, which I could be doing just because I did do a video where I printed out some of the sort of buildings and stuff. And obviously going for the 15mm scale, means I can get a lot more on my board. And obviously, it's easier to store it as well. So I'll have to admit, with all the buildings I've started printing out at 28mm scale, yeah, I'm quickly running out of room because I've got quite a lot of sort of countryside buildings, haystacks, walls, townhouses. I've even started doing a castle wall as well. But yeah, absolutely love it. So I say these are definitely a way to up your game with the look of the shields. And I say there's no way I could sort of do any kind of painting that would look anything like these. So yeah, big shout out to everything I've used today. Little Big Men Studio transfers, Victrix, the Halo X1 printer, and I say I will leave a link to where you can get the smaller miniatures. Okay, guys, hope you found the video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave comments, all that fun stuff. Another video on the screen. You guys take care. See you in the next one. Bye for now.